Rare earth competition. How America learned to stop worrying and diversify. Opening hook. Visual, a periodic table on screen. 17 elements highlighted in red. The rare earths. Camera slowly zooms into neodymium, dysprosium, terbium. These are the elements that make electric motors, wind turbines, and advanced weapon systems work. Then cut 2, a map of China with 85% of global rare earth processing capacity pulsing in bright gold. Capitalist. Rotor. China played a 40-year game, and almost nobody noticed until it was over. Beat. Here is the story of how one country cornered the supply of elements that power the modern world. And here is why that monopoly is already collapsing. Section 1. How China won round 1. Visual. Timeline. 1980s Deng Xiaoping era. Chinese government directive. Become the dominant rare earth producer. Mines opening across Inner Mongolia, Sichuan and Jiangxi provinces. Processing plants built at subsidized cost. Western competitors unable to match price. Mountain Pass mine in California closes in 2002. Capitalist rotor. China invested heavily in rare earth elements. They understood decades ago that whoever controls rare earth controls technology. Not just today's technology, tomorrow's. Electric motors require neodymium and dysprosium. Wind turbines require the same. Precision-guided weapons require the same. Advanced electronics, MRI machines, fiber optics. All of it depends on elements that China decided, quietly and patiently, to control. They bought mines. They built processing capacity. They subsidized production until competitors couldn't survive. They became dominant. This was not magic. This was strategy. Visual. Global rare earth market share charts. China's percentage climbing from 40% to 60% to 85% over decades. Western processing facilities closing one by one. And for 30 years, the Western world didn't care. Because the prices were low. Because the supply was reliable. Because nobody was thinking about what happens when China decides to turn the tap. Then, in 2010, China turned the tap. They restricted rare earth exports during a territorial dispute with Japan. Prices spiked. Panic. Tokyo, Washington, and Brussels suddenly realized they had outsourced control of their entire technology supply chain. Section 2. The American response. Visual Mountain Pass mine in California. Reopening. New exploration projects in Wyoming, Montana, and Alaska. Greenland mining partnerships being negotiated. Africa, Congo, Zambia, Tanzania, new investment announcements rolling in. Capitalist rotor. Here is what people miss. America did not lose. America was sleeping. And now it is waking up. Yes, the United States has significant rare earth deposits. We have known this for years. The Mountain Pass deposit in California is world-class. Wyoming's Bear Lodge project has exceptional grades. Alaska has enormous undeveloped potential. The constraint was never geology. The constraint was price and political will. China's subsidized production made American extraction uneconomical. And American political will to invest in strategic extraction. Well, that has been complicated by environmental regulations and the general cultural skepticism of mining industries. Visual. New processing facilities under construction. Joint ventures announced with Australian and Canadian producers. Diplomatic missions to Africa. Both of those constraints are changing. New administrations have recognized the strategic vulnerability. Emergency authorities have been invoked to accelerate permitting. Capital has flowed into rare earth projects that were sitting approved and unfunded for years. And internationally, partnerships are forming with nations that have rare earths and want American investment. Africa has rare earths in abundance. Central Asia has rare earths. Australia has been quietly building processing capacity for a decade, specifically to serve as an alternative to China. This is not desperation. This is diversification. And diversification is always the winning strategy. Section 3. The deeper game. Visual research laboratories. Scientists working on rare earth-free motor designs. Tesla's announced shift to motors with reduced rare earth content. New battery chemistries that bypass the problem entirely. Capitalist. Rotor. But here is the real move that nobody is covering adequately. America and its allies are not just finding new sources of rare earths. They are engineering around the requirement. If you control neodymium, you control permanent magnet motors. Unless someone builds an efficient motor that doesn't need permanent magnets, which engineers are actively doing right now. If you control dysprosium, you control high-temperature magnet performance. Unless someone develops alternative coatings or designs that achieve the same thermal stability without dysprosium, which laboratories are doing right now. China made a brilliant bet on the current technology paradigm. But the current technology paradigm is not permanent. And the American response is to simultaneously diversify supply and make the supply less necessary. Visual, split screen, Chinese rare earth mines producing, but with diminishing strategic leverage as alternative technologies scale. In Russia, we understand monopoly from the other direction. We have oil and gas. We know what it means to build an economy on resource leverage. We also know what happens when the leverage erodes. It always erodes. China understood this too, which is why they invested so heavily, so fast. Because they knew the window was finite. The window is closing. Ultra. Visual portfolio screen. Long positions in American and Australian rare earth processing companies. Long positions in rare earth-free motor technology developers. Short positions in companies that have not yet diversified their supply chain risk. Capitalist road. So here is the trade. Long the diversification. Long the engineering workaround. Short the single source dependency. The dialogue is not China wins, America loses. The dialogue is how do we build redundancy, partnership, and innovation? That is the real game. Not control. Resilience. Fade to black. Text on screen. Monopoly is a thesis. Competition is a law. End episode 6. Next episode. Patriotism and profit are not enemies. It took a Russian to tell you that.